Today's video is part 2 of this cute file folder Christmas journal I created in my last video. Welcome to another Phantom Charm Studios tutorial. My name is Tammy. My intent, once I filled this with Christmas memories from this year, was that I could slip it into a pocket in a journal that I make in the new year. I wasn't able to make a dedicated Christmas book this year, so this was my quick solution. I saved this piece of file folder that I cut off, and I thought that I'd create a mini book to fit inside the pocket in this little journal. I used half pages from my whimsical Christmas kit printed at 75% to cover the pages of the file folder. Check the description box below for links if you're interested in seeing the rest of the kit. I also printed 2 pattern papers from the kit so that I can cover the mini book and embellish. And I think I will use this red plaid paper to line the pocket of the file folder. I am going to use a card from one of the ephemera sheets as the cover to the mini book we're making today. I've already cut it out of this sheet and I've inked the edges with Distress Oxide ink in black soot. Placing this cover down, I can see that the file folder offcut piece is just a tad taller than I need it to be. When I try to slip this into the pocket of my journal, it's a tight fit. So to make life easier, I'm going to trim off a tiny bit. I'll use my paper trimmer for this. I'm going to line this up the best that I can. I only need to trim about 1/8 of an inch. I'm putting the cover back on to see if I trimmed off enough, and I think it's right where it needs to be. And now this piece should fit better into the center pocket of my file folder journal. I set my trimmer aside, but I'm going to bring it right back in a moment to cut the rest of the cover. I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch margin around the tree card so the file folder will act as a mat for the cover. So I'm just lining this back up in the trimmer and I'll cut the width of my cover to give me that 1/8 of an inch margin all the way around. You will be left with 2 pieces from the file folder. Again, keep these. You can make these into tags or journaling spots, and it may not be for the project you're currently working on, but you'll eventually use these offcuts. I've trimmed all of my papers so they are slightly smaller than the cover. The full dimensions of the cover are 6 and 7/8 inches wide by 5 and 1/8 inches tall. So my papers are cut to 6 and 5/8 inches wide and 4 and 7/8 inches tall. So the pages are smaller by 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I'm inking all of the edges of my cover and the journal pages with Tim Holtz Distress Oxide ink in black soot. Next, I'm going to fold all of my papers in half and put them in the order that I want them to be in the book. I am using a 3-hole pamphlet stitch to bind this book. I realize that everyone might not have the tools to do this or may not want to do any sewing, and I get it. But a pamphlet stitch is the best way to put this book together. So I will use the awl, that piercing tool with the wood handle, to make the holes in the binding. I also have some waxed thread, a binder clip, and a needle. If you didn't want to sew this book is small enough that you could probably staple it if you have a full-size stapler, or you could use brads to secure the pages to the cover. I've never done a 3-hole pamphlet stitch on camera, so bear with me as I try to get all of my papers centered on the cover. It's much easier to do this when you can look right down at it and not be worried about what the camera is capturing. Once I get these centered, I'll keep this together with the binder clip. If this book were bigger and had more signature pages, you'd want to secure it with at least 3 or 4 binder clips. But with only the 5 pages, this one is all I need, and I'm attaching it right at the center. The next thing I'm going to do is get my needle and thread. I'm going to cut a length of thread that's 3 times as long as the spine of my journal. I'm using waxed thread. This journal is not big or heavy, so plain embroidery thread would have been fine, but the wax adds stability and makes the thread stronger. I'm threading my needle and will set this aside to make the holes in the spine. I'm not measuring where to put the holes. You can absolutely do that if you want. On a larger journal with more pages and signatures, I'd want to be more precise. But for this little book, the holes in the spine do not need to be perfect. I'm going to adjust my pages one more time and line up all the center folds in the cover better. For me, lining up the papers is the hardest part of this process. So using the awl, I'm eyeballing the middle of the spine and pushing the pierce side through all of the layers of the paper and the file folder. I'm poking another hole at the bottom of the spine, just about an inch from the bottom, and we'll place another hole just about an inch from the top of the journal. One thing to note before I grab the needle and the thread, if you want strings to dangle on the outside of your book, start the stitch from the outside and go in. I started inside my book and I'm pushing my needle through the middle hole, leaving a good length of thread. By starting inside, the threads will be inside my book. From the outside, I will push my needle back into the book from the hole at the bottom. From the inside of the book, I'm now skipping the center hole and I will push the needle through the hole at the top of the journal. From the back side, I'll pull the string taut a bit, but you don't want to pull it too tight. From the back, I'll push my needle back through the center hole and pull my thread tight again. I removed my needle at this point because now I just need to add knots. I had way too much string, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. When you have the extra string, it can dangle below the journal if you want to add charms or beads. I'm not going to do that with this book because, again, this mini book will slip into a pocket and that would mess up any dangles. Before I knot my string, I'm just double checking to make sure that the string does not have any give in it, that it's pulled tight, and now I will add several knots. And just be careful not to pull the strings too tight because you could possibly rip the spine and the paper, and we don't want that. Grabbing my scissors, I will cut off the ends of the string. And that is a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Now that the book is stitched together, I can add the covers to the front and the back. For the cover, I want to use this card that I cut from that ephemera sheet that I printed. Grabbing my Fabri-Tac, I'll add glue around the edge of the cover and some in the center and glue down this card, leaving that slight border all the way around. I'm always wiping up any excess glue. For the back of my journal, I'm going to use one of the pattern papers that come in the Whimsical Christmas junk journal kit that I printed. I'm just going to mark on the paper with a pencil line where to trim. And keeping with what I did on the file folder part, I'm going to tear the paper with my ruler. I'd like to keep the rough edges all through the folder and this mini book. Adding ink around the edges first, and then I will glue this paper to the back cover. There's one more thing that I want to do, and that is to add this red plaid paper into the pocket of the main journal to cover up some of the manila folder. I've already added a label to the front of the pocket where I can add a date. This is optional. The book looks great without it, but I think the red plaid will add a little pop of color to the pocket. Using my ruler again, I'm just tearing off a length of paper, adding some ink to that edge, and I'll tear some of the bottom to get this piece to fit inside that pocket. I am really loving how this file folder project is turning out. I love that I can get more mileage out of my half papers and not feel like I'm making the same kind of junk journal over and over. I hope you can see the possibilities with this, that you can make this any time of year and use any theme you want. I have so many different half page kits and some of the pages I've never even used. That would be a perfect way to make more of these file folders. This can be a standalone project on its own, or like me, you can slip this little journal into an ongoing junk journal. I'm done with this, so I'm just going to slip my little mini book back into the pocket. I do go ahead and decorate my file folder just a bit by adding a pocket over the tree image and cutting out some of the ephemera pieces to make tags. While I'm working, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's watched my videos. It's quite a challenge to start up a new channel on YouTube. It takes a while to gain traction. Little actions such as hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, leaving comments, and hitting the notification bell can really help me grow and reach more people. In early 2025, when I started filming videos for this channel, I had no idea that my day job was about to turn my life inside out. I had such ups and downs this year with my job. If I ever disappear from YouTube, it's a pretty safe bet that my day job is taking over my life. Right now, things are much better. I'm really excited about the content I have planned in 2026. I have a tutorial for a New Year folio coming up. I just released a winter junk journal kit, so I have some videos sharing the process of making that coming up. We are going to a huge antique show in a few weeks, so I'll share a haul if I find some really fun things like I did last year. And in February, I'm planning to launch a beginner series. I still feel like I'm a newbie to junk journaling, even though I've been a scrapbooker for over 25 years. I have some ideas to share about where to start, how to start, and what to start with. So please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so you'll get notified when I upload new videos. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you in the next video.